Have you guys ever done something so cringe that you feel like you have to run away from home and never talk to anybody ever again? Because I sure as hell have. In the last episode of T-Bor's Embarrassing Stories, we talked about that time where I talked to a girl, said hi, and then ran away. And then at the end of that video, I mentioned that I have one more story that is fucking traumatic. The worst story. Cringe maximum. It's bad. And today we're going to be talking about that because I think it's finally time that I come clean. You know, you guys need to know the truth, that I am not the turbo giga chad that you see on screen today. So this story starts off in the most degenerate place possible, high school. And I was a freshman. It was early on in the year. I think it was either September or October or something like that. But either way, I was in my prime when it came to cringe. I could take on anybody and probably beat the hell out of them and become world champion of making people uncomfortable. You have no idea what I was capable of back then. And when you first get to high school, right, it's a big culture shock, especially coming from elementary or middle school where you kind of knew everybody already and, you know, you're the big top mega alpha dogs of the school. Now you're just a disgusting beta on the bottom of the totem pole. It sucks. And it sucked especially for me because I'm in remote Canada. There's fucking nothing here. There's not even people here. So going from that tiny village elementary school to the big city high school was a big change for me. But seeing all these new people to potentially talk to and make friends with got me pretty hyped. I was excited. And this story starts off the same way that every single one of my other stories start off when there's a girl involved. We were at a school assembly waiting for whatever the fuck the principal was gonna talk about. And then I saw her. Some random girl a couple rows in front of me. She was the one. I don't even remember her name, to be honest, but to high school me, I thought she was an angel. Now, when you like somebody in school, the worst thing you could do ever is tell your friends. Because they will make your life a living hell, and they will make sure everybody on the planet knows that you like whoever you told them. And worst of all, they'll try to help you. Try to help you. Of course, having the absolute massive brain I had at the time, I decided it would be a good idea to tell my friend that I like this girl. And I'll never forget his response. He literally looked at me and went, "Oh." And that's when I knew I was fucked. I should have known at that point that I was gonna get slapped with the most embarrassing moment in my entire life in a couple days from then. But I didn't know any better at the time, man. So he basically asks a couple questions. How did I know? How did I meet her? Which I didn't at the time. Had no idea who she was. She had no idea who I was either. It was about as parasocial, I think, as you can get. So long story short, he basically says that he's gonna help me, which at the time sounded great to me. And for you to understand why I thought it was great, you need to understand the type of dynamic me and my friend had. He was super socially competent. He was no fear when it came to talking to new people. He had the social skills to back it up. It was awesome. Now, when it came to me, I'm sure you can guess by now, I was level 100 when it came to approaching new people and not being afraid to talk to them. Now, the problem is, I was level -10 when it came to actually speaking to them. Now, it just so happens in this world of coincidences, my friend actually knew the girl. He knew her from, I think it was elementary school, or it was something like that, but he told me that, and I was like, oh my god, fuck yeah. This guy's gonna give me a chance. I'm gonna have an actual, real shot at this. So fast forward a couple days into the future, we're finally at Judgment Day. A couple days after I told him that I liked her. It's lunchtime, so everybody's sitting in the cafeteria, eating their food, waiting for their people to arrive. You know, I'm feasting on my sandwich, just mowing down, having a great time, and I'm waiting for my friend to come down. The problem is, he's a little late, maybe like 5 minutes late-ish. And I'm sitting there eating my sandwich thinking, that's a little weird. He said he was gonna be down here today. Where is he? And finally, my friend approaches the table, and without even sitting down, he goes, "Hey, come here." And fucking immediately, with the stupid grin he had on his face, I knew something was up. So I quickly glance over to her table where her and her friend group are sitting, and there's 2 open seats. One is beside her, and the other is right across from her. I look at my friend and I'm like, hell no, absolutely not. You are a goddamn madman. And eventually, after 3 minutes worth probably of convincing, he dragged me over, pretty much picked me up out of the chair, and brought me over to her table. Now, as I'm walking over there, my heart's going crazy. It's pounding. I don't know what the fuck's going on. It was all panic mode up in here. So we finally sit down, and I would say there's probably like 8 of us at this table. So thank fucking God, I didn't have to say anything. I didn't even have to open my mouth. The only thing I was focusing on was eating my sandwich. Because even if I finally worked up the courage to finally open my mouth, I would have said something either 1, so brain dead that I make everybody within a kilometer radius question their existence, or 2, something so uncomfortable that I would have got slapped with 12 restraining orders in one go. Those were the options I was dealing dealing with here. There was no winning. But as the lunch goes on, people start to leave because they gotta go to class or whatever. And I think there's probably about 4 of us at the table at this point. But then a couple minutes goes by, and then my friend turns to me and says, "Hey man, I gotta go to science class." He didn't say it like a predator, but it felt like he said it in slow motion. Because in my head, while he was saying this sentence, I was like, no. Don't you fucking dare do this to me. And I think he kind of knew what I was thinking in my head, because as he stands up, he says his goodbyes to the table, he looks at me, and this motherfucker had the audacity to wink. The fucking balls on this man. What he did was the equivalent of leaving a puppy out in the winter tundra with no fucking food. So now at this point at the table, it's just me, the girl I liked, and the girl's friend. Thankfully, the girl's friend was so goddamn chatty, she was carrying the entire goddamn conversation on her back, so all I had to focus on was just munching on my goddamn carrots. Trying to act normal as if it wasn't DEFCON 1 in my head right now. And then, it happened. The friend finally stands up and is like, well, I gotta go to drama class, guys. I gotta go practice my lines. And at this point, I'm like a deer in headlights. In fact, I would have probably rather have been hit by the transport truck at that point. And so her friend finally pieces out, and the next 5 minutes of me and the girl that I like sitting at this table felt like an eternity. Do you want to know why? It was silent. I had no idea what to say, no idea what to do, so I just sat there, finishing my lunch as quickly as possible to get the hell out of there. Because the words uncomfortable didn't even begin to describe what I was feeling. I mean, honestly, in hindsight, I probably could have just gotten up and left when my friend left. Like, there was nobody standing there holding me down at gunpoint or anything. I'm pretty sure my friend wouldn't have dove across the table and would have been like, no, you stay. That wouldn't have happened, so I could have just gotten up from the chair. I could have completely avoided this traumatic PTSD-inducing experience just by standing up, but I don't know, man. I wasn't the smartest at the time when it came to social stuff. But anyway, you already know how this story's gonna end. We're just sitting there, and you know, I knew how bad the situation was. Like, I was toying around with my mind like, oh, I should probably say something. That would make this less unbearably awkward. And so I do actually end up asking her something. I don't know what I asked. I can't remember. But all I remember is asking the question. She doesn't even look at me. She's looking at her phone like this. She's like on it. I ask her the question. I'm like very clearly looking at her because I didn't know how fucking humans interact with each other. So I'm just staring her down like a fucking weirdo. And she's on her phone. I ask her the question. No response. It's just like this. So I'm just left to sit there, still munching on these goddamn carrots. And after the 100-year-long 5 minutes finally goes by, she just stands up and leaves. Doesn't even acknowledge me. Doesn't even say bye. I don't even think she looked at me, dude. And there I am, just left to sit there at this table, all alone, contemplating what the fuck just happened. Shockingly, it didn't work out. Dude, I would have been even surprised if she knew I existed. But yeah, afterwards, I told my friend what happened, and he's like, you're a fucking idiot. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah. I know. Honestly though, thinking about the situation now, props to my friend for being a sick wingman. I mean, if I was socially incompetent at all, he got me right in front of her to talk to her, like, that's perfect wingman status. But you know, I'm glad it didn't work out because I'm happily married now. Now, if you're wondering what happened after this story, my friend basically dragged me through a year-long boot camp where he just put me in the most awkward situations possible until I was finally able to talk to people like a normal human being. Thankfully, I've been through enough of those awkward situations where I can't even remember all of them. There's probably hundreds at this point. I can only remember the really bad, the really awkward ones, and I'm honestly thankful for that because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night otherwise. And now after all that work, all those awkward situations, we're here. I can talk to people. I'm not afraid to meet new people. I can be as openly racist as I want to be. It's sick. And obviously, I've got my good friend to thank for that. But yeah, that's pretty much all the awkwardness today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.